All right, so today we're diving into the world of financial cybersecurity, like how those institutions we trust with our money are keeping it safe from all those digital threats out there, or at least how they should be.
Yeah, definitely a hot topic. And we're zeroing in on FINRA's stance on penetration testing.
Ah, that whole ethical hacking thing.
Right.
And based on that cybersecurity firm's blog post you sent over, it seems like FINRA is really upping their game this year.
They are. Their 2024 report really stresses the whole thing about firms understanding their cybersecurity risks. And they're saying that penetration testing is like a key way to do that.
Okay, so for those of us who might not be familiar, what exactly is penetration testing?
Well, imagine you're trying to make sure your house is like totally secure. You wouldn't just check the front door's locked, would you? You might hire someone, a security expert or whatever, to see if they can actually break in. Test every possible entry point.
Okay, that's a scary thought, but I get the analogy. So basically, it's like hiring some friendly hackers to try and break into your systems, right?
Exactly. It helps you find those weak spots before, the bad guys do.
Makes sense. But here's what I find interesting. The blog post mentioned that FINRA isn't actually requiring firms to do this. It's more of a strong recommendation. Why not make it mandatory?
Well, it's a balancing act, right? FINRA has to think about the cost and all the resources involved in making every single firm do these tests.
Especially with those branch offices the blog post mentioned, they said some of them might even be using their own systems, which could mean weaknesses in the whole security network.
Right, exactly. And that's where things get really interesting, especially when you think about what Yolanda Trotman and Steve Polanski from FINRA were saying.
Oh, yeah. I listened to that interview you linked from the White Hack Labs blog. They really emphasized just how important cybersecurity is in finance.
Trotman's point on insider threats was eye-opening.
For sure. Like something out of a movie, really. She said insiders are anyone with past or present authorized access.
Right. It's not just about some disgruntled ex-employee out for revenge.
Yeah.
It could be anyone who can get to sensitive data. They could be compromised or tempted or even forced into doing it.
Makes you think. It's not just about protecting those big institutions. It's about our money and our data.
Exactly.
Hmm.
If some financial institution gets hit with a data breach because they weren't prepared, that affects all of us.
Absolutely. That erodes trust, messes with the financial markets, and we end up dealing with identity theft and all that. No wonder FINRA is pushing for better security.
And it's not just about penetration testing either. They're really advocating for a more, I guess you'd say, holistic approach to cybersecurity.
So they're saying, hey, penetration testing is important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. What else are they suggesting?
Right.
Right? It can't be the only thing. So what else are
Uh,
they saying?
Well, they're really pushing for the basic stuff too, like good old-fashioned security awareness training. That's really important.
I mean, like teaching employees how to spot those phishing emails a mile away.
Exactly. Making sure everyone from like the new intern to the CEO understands the importance of good passwords and, recognizing those suspicious links, reporting anything that seems off. It's kind of like you could have this super high-tech alarm system, right?
Yeah.
But if someone leaves the front door wide open,
Makes sense. But let's say everyone is on high alert, totally avoiding those scams. What else is FINRA saying?
patch management is another big one.
Patch management, okay. Break that down for us. What's so important about those patches?
Think of it like those software updates, that your phone or computer is always bugging you about. Kind of annoying, but also really important.
Okay.
A lot of times they have crucial security fixes, right? They patch up those vulnerabilities that hackers could use to get in,
So if you're ignoring those updates, it's like leaving a welcome mat out for hackers.
pretty much. And then there's the whole secure configurations thing.
All right, getting a little more technical. What does that mean?
It's like when you're setting up your systems and networks, you're thinking about security from the very beginning. Strong passwords, access controls, firewalls, all that stuff. It's like instead of just building a house and then being like, oh, we should probably add some locks.
You're building a fortress.
Exactly. Trying to add security later is like, I don't know, trying to put toothpaste back in the tube.
And messier, probably, when you add in all those rules and regulations. This blog post I read mentioned how other groups like the SEC have their own requirements on top of what FINRA suggests.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot to keep track of. And that's why being compliant is so important. FINRA may not be giving out fines for skipping the penetration testing yet, but other agencies could.
Plus, there's your reputation. Like, if a firm gets hit with a big data breach because they weren't careful, people are going to find out, right?
Exactly. Trust is everything, especially in finance. Even if there weren't any regulations, protecting your clients and your firm's rep is just smart. That reminds me, actually, of that point the blog post made at the end.
Oh, you mean about mandatory penetration testing? Yeah, what if? What if they actually did that? Yeah, what if penetration testing was mandatory? That'd be a game changer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would shake things up. It could force everyone to step up their game. Kind of like if you were back in school and the teacher suddenly announced a pop quiz,
Right.
everyone would be scrambling to study. Right. And then the overall, knowledge in the class would probably go up.
Right, survival of the fittest, cybersecurity style. I can see the headlines now. Mandatory penetration testing leads to better security. But I'm guessing not everyone would love that idea.
Probably not. Smaller companies,
Hmm.
especially, they might have trouble with the cost of doing those tests all the time.
Yeah.
It's one thing to recommend it, but making it a requirement, that could be tough for some businesses to handle.
And then there's the whole thing of actually finding enough people to do it. Like, are there enough ethical hackers out there? Do we need to, start a whole new school system just for cybersecurity?
That's an interesting question. It would definitely take a lot of training and resources to meet that kind of demand.
Yeah.
And even then, there are risks, right? You're basically giving these outside firms access to some pretty important stuff, even if they are the good guys.
Right. How do you know it won't fall into the wrong hands?
Exactly. There are a lot of privacy and security concerns to think about. So complicated, there's no easy answer.
Mm.
But it shows just how important cybersecurity is becoming.
Absolutely. A whole new world of challenges. Well, there you have it, everyone. We've really gotten into the nitty-gritty of financial cybersecurity, talked about penetration testing, and even considered what if it were mandatory.
We learned that while FINRA may not be quite ready to make it a requirement yet, they're sending a clear message that cybersecurity is not optional.
It's not just about checking boxes, it's about creating a culture of security right from the start. Training those employees, staying on top of those updates, thinking about security from day one. It all matters.
Because ultimately, it's about protecting ourselves, our money, and our digital lives.
Well said. So, until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.